Hey, and welcome back to another video in this course. Today I'm going to be showing you our PretreatMaker IV, which is a machine I recommend if you're just getting started. Obviously we have the Firebird washing machine, so this isn't really of use anymore, but if you're just getting started and you're looking for a reliable, great heavy-duty pretreat machine, you're going to go with the Schultze PretreatMaker IV. This machine, we actually installed this barcode system here. It doesn't come with it. I know you can modify it and stuff, but we just plug it into our computer here. You can get a bigger screen if you want. You can actually even screw it into the side and have it like a Versa mount. We have our computer over there, Versa mounted to the printer. We just use this little setup here because this machine isn't being used as often, so we don't really need a whole setup and display for it. But if we were using it full time, we would upgrade to a bigger screen so we can see our graphics more clearly. The first thing you want to do is turn on the machine. It will tell you here what to do when you start up. So it'll tell you to shake the pretreat. However, with the pretreat that I recommend, which is the Firebird Gen 3 or Ghost Pretreat, or basically any Firebird pretreat that they recommend for your shop, once you give them a call and tell them what blanks you're working with, you don't really need to shake those. They come pre-mixed, pre-assembled and everything. There's no reason to be shaking them. You simply just pour the pretreat into your tanks on the side, whether it's tank 1 or tank 2. You can fill them up and then they will be installed in this machine. Then it tells you to put on your nozzles. You're gonna grab your nozzles. We soak our nozzles in Simple Green. It's basically a heavy duty cleaning solution. We just soak them overnight so it cleans up the glue that's from the pretreat. Once we get those taken out of our resting tray, we just rinse them with some water so it doesn't get on our shirts. And then we would install them into our machines by pushing them up and spinning to the right once. If you're working with a brand new pre-treating machine, it might be a little hard to spin because the plastic is new and it's very thick, but just try pushing it a little harder. It won't line up 100% straight. It will be a little bit slanted, like 1 degree to the left, but that's okay. Don't worry about that too much. Just make sure that when you click it, it can no longer spin to the right. That's how they should look. And then you would finally close your machine. Now we have here, once we're done with that menu, once it told us to put on our nozzles and the initial shaking of the pretreat, we can go ahead now and run pretreat through the lines for 10 seconds. You want to run this for 10 seconds so it can fully flow the pretreat through the lines so it's not filled with water. One thing I forgot to mention is you can also separate the pretreat by tanks. So tank 1 can hold your dark garment pretreat, which is for your blacks and vintage blacks and all that darker garment stuff. And then your ghost pretreat can be in tank 2. So whichever pretreat you use less of, you can put it in the smaller tank. And when it's time to use that pretreat, you would toggle this switch around to whichever tank it needs to be. So in our case, we're using tank 1 because that holds our dark garments. We're gonna spin it back to tank 1 and make sure it's on pre-treating. Then when we need to switch to tank 2 for our lighter garments, we switch here, we switch to cleaner, and then we'll go over here, and then we just click maintenance, and then click cleaning the pump and pipes. So this will basically run your distilled water from your distilled water tank through the lines, clear it out, and once that's done, you then turn it back to pre-coating so it will use a fresh batch of your pretreat from tank 2 without contaminating it or mixing it with the other pretreats. That's how you would switch tanks. Now we're going to continue using tank 1 for this demonstration. Now that you have your pretreat machine nice and set up and ready to go, you're going to grab one of your shirts with the barcode that needs to be pre-treated. You're going to scan it. Here we have our measurement on the side, which you can see here it goes from 8 inches down to 22 inches. The reason we do 22 inches is because we want to have like an extra inch just in case like the shirt is too high up or too low down on the pattern. We don't accidentally print off of the shirt. So just make sure you pre-treat an extra inch more than you would usually pre-treat. And once we line up the image, you can see here where the amount of pre-treat will fall. So here, the front print image is kind of hard to see, but here we can look at the mock-up here and see the white text. And then when you look in, you can kind of see it there. It falls under the 10-inch mark. So we would go ahead on the front and apply 10 inches worth of pre-treat. How you do that is by going to your pre-treat machine, clicking settings, and then length, making it 10 inches tall. Now you can cut off the left or right sides. In this case, the shirt is being printed on the left chest, but if you're not comfortable with visualizing where the left and right chest is, you could just leave all 4 lanes open. Now you would essentially put your shirt on, make sure it's nice and even down the center, and then press your pre-treat button. For heavyweight garments and darker garments like LA apparel, shacklewear, if you're gonna be doing that streetwear type of style like we do, we recommend setting the speed to 80% and making the carriage go only one way instead of back and forth. Because if you spray 2 ways with the carriage, it will actually spray too much pre-treat and you'll get peeling and all types of effects that you don't want with your pre-treat. The number that we've decided upon, which has been working great for all of our shirts, has been 80% one way. You can change whether or not it's bi-directional by clicking this arrow with the line at the top here. You switch it back and forth. So change it to one way, and 80% for heavier garments. For lighter garments, 90 to 100% should work, but just again, give it a try, test it for yourself. Your setup might be different, the pre-treat you're using might be different, your drying settings might be different. There's a lot of different factors that come down to why your prints will come out a certain way, so I can't give you an exact template to go by. However, if you're using everything that we're using, we use 80% and 90% to 100% for lighter, medium, and heavier shirts. All right, so now that we've pre-treated the top half of our shirt, you can see here, it looks great. And then we're just gonna do the same thing for the back. We check the back, we see this goes down, it ends down here, so that's about 21 inches, which is essentially, if we want to be safe, we do 1 inch more, so that will be 22 inches on the back. It's much better to waste an extra inch of pre-treat, which would cost you pennies, rather than pre-treating 1 inch less to save pre-treat and then wasting an entire t-shirt, which can cost you upwards of $10 if you're using high quality blanks. That 1 extra inch does come in handy when you're dealing with larger printed items. So we're gonna adjust it to 22 inches here, begin at 0, 80%, and we can see it's one way. I'm gonna go ahead and press that. Now we have a nice, even pre-treated area, which we can go ahead and dry. To summarize this video, you can automate your pre-treating process by using a barcode scanner, our print-on-demand software, a PretreatMaker IV, and your 2 different pre-treats in your tank 1 and tank 2. You can scan here and it will show you the graphic and the mock-up. And once you line it up with your measurement on the side, you can see how many inches. For instance, this one, to be safe, we would do 20 inches tall. Just the way we did this is essentially just marking off the amount of lines it took to get to 22, and then we just kind of divided the numbers to get an accurate estimate of how many inches cover a certain amount of pixels within these ranges. We don't really use this system anymore. That's why it's like outdated and on a tiny screen. But if you are using this system and you have a bigger display for this, you can even put like a ruler next to it and kind of mark, or not even a ruler, but just like a better piece of paper or a strip or something, and mark out. If it was, let's say you're using a 16-inch tall platen, you can actually mark out lines from the top to the bottom. And then you would basically divide how many lines by 16 to get how many inches each line is. And that's basically how we did that. Of course, with the idea in mind that each line would be an extra inch. That way we can always add an extra inch of pre-treat, so we don't end up printing outside of the pre-treated area and ruining our garments. So we have 8 through 22. Yes, this is probably not about 8 inches. This is probably less than 8 inches, but still we'd rather be safe than sorry. And this gives you a quick estimate rather than trying to eye your design and not knowing even approximately where it's going to be. Definitely put a ruler or something on the side of your screen that measures up to your 16 inches divided by the lines. That's how you automate your pre-treating process with the barcode system we use. And if you're in the enterprise tier course, I'll be getting into how you set this application all up to be able to scan your customers' barcodes and have the image pop up and all that good stuff. So I hope I was able to help you get started with your pre-treat process, whether you're starting fresh with a PretreatMaker 4 or you are a veteran and wanted to learn some new tips of how we automate our pre-treating process. I hope I was able to help all of you. And as always, if you have any more questions and you feel like I missed something, feel free to reach out or book a call with me. I look forward to speaking with you and helping you further your business. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.